What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. Straightwell Hunting Cartridge Series continued. Today we're out with a big boy, the 4570, and today we have some big boy ammunition. We have Double Tap 300 grain controlled expansion. Now, I really like the Double Tap controlled expansion stuff and all the handgun calibers, but this is definitely a big bore, big boy rifle cartridge here. This 300 grain semi-jacketed hollow point is going at an advertised velocity of 2,100 feet per second out of the barrel. Now that says a 22-inch barrel. And on the CVA V2 Scout, we have about a 22-inch barrel, a little bit longer. It's 22.5 inches right to the break, but the break has a little bit more of a usable closed-off space, I'd say, till about 23 inches. So between 22 and 23. So we should get pretty close to what's on the box, hopefully. And the CVA Scout or the Scout V2, like this one, they're just simple break action single shot rifles. Definitely on the budget side of things, a good way to get into certain other calibers if you want to try them out, especially like all the hunting straight wall cartridges that we're testing now. Staying in the budget realm, we have a SIG Buckmaster scope, 3 to 12 power, 44mm. We recently tried out some pretty basic Winchester 4570. I would check out that test right here, but now we're moving on to a little bit more exotic stuff, or at least stuff from companies that are known to make pretty cool ammunition. We're going to send this stuff through the chronograph. We're going to check velocity as we send it out down to 100 yards and impact the gel. We have two 20-inch Clear Ballistics Gel blocks set up down there for a total of 40 inches, which I don't think we'll get through, but we have a backup no matter what. Then we'll move everything closer back up here. We'll be about 30 feet away and we'll smack the block real close. Everything's going to change because the velocity will be a lot higher on impact. So we'll simulate getting a deer out at about 100 yards and one pretty much right in front of your face. So testing explained, let's get to shooting. All right, let's hope we get a good strike. Like always, I have to Kentucky windage it just a little bit here. And we hit it. Hopefully we didn't get too low in it. 22.21 on the Caldwell, 22.78.3 here on the Garmin. Let's go take a look at the block. All right, we did get pretty low, but not too low. There is the entrance wound. You can see it immediately starts pedaling out as soon as it hits the block. All right, so you can see as soon as it enters the block, it has a pretty good bursting effect that starts out at about 1 inch after entry, and it goes till about 3.5 inches where you see some of those pedals. It immediately settles down to pretty much a piercing wound cavity, losing some of its pieces here and there. At the 17-inch mark, you see a piece of copper jacket or something left behind, a little chunk of lead. It does go very close to the bottom of that block. It might skip the bottom just a tiny little bit, but it doesn't really do any damage to the cardboard underneath, so it's still staying within the very edge. It leaves one block at 20 inches and goes into the next block at 23 inches, I think is where it lands. We have a bounce back from, I would say, 24 inches. Could be a little bit deeper. It is widened out like a mushroom. It's facing us. It's pretty smooth, so it hasn't destroyed itself. It lost pieces of itself on the way, but it's still a chunk of slug left over. From the top, you see the same thing. The bursting effect right at the beginning. It does tear some of the cardboard underneath just due to the rupturing of the gel block itself. Or not the rupturing, but the movement of it. It ruptured it. Right there where you see that piece of lead and copper, though, it did not really leave the block, I don't think. It just rode the bottom edge of it. Left a little bit of a track as it entered the next block, and there you see the same picture, but just from the different angle. It bounced back a little bit. It's facing towards the angle that we were just looking at. Smashed up, flat face, looks pretty good. Got pretty deep, disrupted a lot in the beginning, not a whole lot in the middle, but it definitely got deep in the block. There's just one more view from this side, the kind of grenading effect almost at the very beginning. They say controlled expansion, so it isn't totally catastrophic. It didn't destroy the entire bullet, but it did have some severe expansion. Again, settling down, losing a little chunk, leaving one block, entering the next, coming to rest, pretty flattened out. All right, let's move it up to about 30 feet and see what happens when we get real close. All right, a lot closer now. So here's simulating a deer jumping right in front of you or climbing up to your tree stand with you pretty much. There we go. There goes everything. Camera, block, all that. Well, we're going to go clean that up. But in the meantime, 2240 down there on the Caldwell and 2271.8 here on the Garmin. So 2240, and we did not make it into the second block. We are stuck down here in the first block. We're actually pretty destroyed. But yeah, you can see how it knocked that block right off the table, knocked the camera stand down, tripod, whatever it is. I can actually show you a pretty good wound channel here. It's pretty cool. I don't really have to clean it up yet. I'm just going to go ahead and try to show it to you. So you're going to see a pretty explosive part right there. Sorry, there's paint particles on it, but that thing really does expand pretty crazy in some weird ways. Goes ahead and moves down, loses a bunch of pieces of itself and weird patterns too. Actually, that one piece just completely deviates down and goes ahead and drops the bottom of itself right there. We're going to have to get the tape measure on it, but it's pretty flat and mangled. There's not much left of it. We'll get it cleaned up and get it on the table, get the tape on it, all that stuff. But yeah, it looks pretty darn devastating at first. All right, being a lot closer to the block this time, we definitely did have more violence towards the beginning. We had higher velocity upon impact. Therefore, the grenading effect was definitely increased. We did not get anywhere near as deep. We fell short big time. The projectile landed at 13 inches with a bounce back from at least 14 inches, lost a ton of itself along the way. The biggest impact part is between, I would say, the 1 inch mark. So starting at the 1 inch mark, going up to about the 6.5 inch mark, 6 inch mark for the most part. So between there, you have one heck of a permanent wound channel. Big old cavity right there. A bunch of stuff exploded in there, and then it settled down as it went. It has a big frontal area now because it's all splayed out and smushed around, and it lost a lot of its mass. So like I said, couldn't get anywhere near as deep as the other shot from 100 yards, but still did a whole lot of damage upon impact. Now, dumping a lot of foot-pounds right in the beginning, but not getting as deep as some people may say that they would want to get. It depends on what you're hunting. White-tailed deer, I don't know if this is what you exactly want. This is gel, though, so keep that in mind. This isn't exactly flesh, but this is definitely a high-impact round to begin with, and then it just does a little bit of damage as it goes through towards the end, in my opinion. And I mean, a wound track is still a wound track. You just don't see a ton of the permanent stuff. As it sails down here to the 23-inch mark, the one before it, you just don't see a whole lot of violence and disruption as you do way at the beginning. From the top down, you can definitely see a lot of that sploder effect right towards the beginning. You can see how it just immediately lost a ton of its lead. So it left a lot behind, still kept sailing a little bit as a disc type thing and came to rest right there. But definitely flattened out, mushed out, smoothened out, does not have any of its original shape. All right, here's the long range shot that made it deeper into the block, and here's the one that pretty much shredded itself upon entry. You can see those pedals tucked back crazy along the back. They did here too. They tucked back really tightly, but this one visually, you can just see lost a ton of itself. We'll go ahead and weigh them. All right, this one at 100 yards comes in at 171.9, and that was out of 300, I believe. Holy crap. That's a lot of lost weight. Let's see what the other one looks like. This one will definitely be even lighter. It lost a ton of itself in the block. So the 30-yard shot was 122.2. Wowzers. The widest part of the faraway shot is 0.856 inches. And the widest part of that up-close mess is 0.777 inches. So there's all the information. Use it as you see fit. Hope you're enjoying the Straight Wall Hunting Cartridge series. We have plenty more to come. Thank you for watching this video, and until we see you next time, stay safe, have fun, and keep shooting.